Opening hook, soul awakening, and philosophical. There is a moment, not written in calendars or etched into time, where a man or woman must face the raw truth about life. You do not get what you wish for. You do not get what you hope for. You get what you are willing to bleed for. Discipline is the price. And fortune, true fortune, does not arrive by accident. It is earned in silence, through the daily war between who you are and who you could be. Everyone talks about dreams. They plaster them on their walls. They whisper them into journals. They speak them into the universe. But dreams, no matter how beautiful, are still smoke, until discipline turns them into structure. Until action turns them into stone. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and everything you say you want, between desire and destiny, between mediocrity and magnificence. Because the truth, the kind no one wants to hear, is this: you are as free as you are disciplined, and you are as successful as you are consistent. Mindset, the furnace where discipline is forged. Everything begins in the mind, not in the external world, not in the bank account, the followers, the accolades, but in that silent space behind your eyes where the war is fought daily. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is not gifted by DNA. It is forged, like iron, in the furnace of your thinking. If your mind believes you are weak, you will act weak. If your mind accepts excuses, your life will be made of them. But if your mind demands growth, your entire existence will rise to meet that standard. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts." That means the way you think about effort determines your outcomes. The way you respond to discomfort defines your future. The story you tell yourself about struggle, that is your script for life. Discipline doesn't ask, "Do I feel like it today?" It says, "I am this kind of person. This is what I do, period." That mindset, the identity of a disciplined person, is more powerful than talent, more valuable than luck, more unshakable than motivation. Because motivation fades, but mindset remains, and once the furnace of the mind is lit, once the flames of decision burn hot enough, there is no turning back. Only forward, only up, only through. Belief, the inner agreement that ignites action. Discipline only becomes real when belief backs it. You don't stay consistent with what you don't believe in. You won't suffer for something you don't believe is possible. So belief is not optional. It's oxygen. You have to believe, not in the fantasy, but in the inevitability of your success. Not maybe, not someday, but I am becoming. I am building. I am relentless. I am inevitable. Do you think Edison worked through 10,000 failures because he was just trying things out? No, he was obsessed. He believed the light bulb was possible long before the world saw it. Henry Ford believed in the automobile before the average man could even picture one. Carnegie believed in steel. Disney believed in magic. And you must believe in yourself. In the version of you that doesn't flinch when it's hard. In the version that shows up again and again because you've made an agreement with your future. Belief is not some fluffy hope. It is a contract with yourself. And discipline is how you honor that contract, day after day. Clarity defining. The destination. You cannot cross a bridge to nowhere. Discipline without direction is just exhaustion. You can grind for years and still end up lost if you don't define what you're grinding toward. Clarity is not just knowing what you want. It's knowing why you want it. What does your dream look like in detail? What does your fortune feel like? Not just the money, the meaning, the impact, the legacy. The version of you who walks with power, with purpose, with presence. Most people drift because they don't have a vision. They chase vague goals, chase other people's dreams, live off recycled ambition. But if you want to build something unbreakable, you need a blueprint. Clarity is the blueprint. It sharpens your actions. It silences the noise. It gives every sacrifice a purpose. Carnegie didn't become wealthy by accident. He saw it before it happened. He knew the empire he would build. He didn't hope. He planned. So define it, write it, see it every morning before your feet hit the floor. Because when the vision is clear, the work becomes sacred. Purpose, the fire that never dies. You will never stay disciplined for something you don't deeply care about. You'll never suffer for a shallow reason. But give a man a purpose, and he will walk through fire with a smile on his face. Purpose is not something you find. It is something you decide. It is the cause that pulls you forward when every bone in your body says stop. It is the why behind the 5 a.m. alarm, the why behind the reps, the study, the sacrifice. Look at anyone who's ever built something legendary. Their purpose wasn't comfort, their purpose was impact. Lincoln didn't endure failure after failure because he wanted fame. He was called to preserve a union. He had a mission. That mission was more powerful than rejection, more powerful than criticism, more powerful than fear. What is your mission? Why are you here? Why are you still breathing? You don't need to have it all figured out, but you do need to stand for something. You need to be driven by more than survival, because discipline without purpose is slavery, but discipline with purpose, that's power. Discipline, the daily decision to rise. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where dreams either rot in the mind or rise in the world. Discipline is the muscle that makes everything else possible. It is the daily decision to do what is right, not what is easy. To do what moves you forward, not what numbs your fear. To do what your future will thank you for, even when your present self resists. You want fortune? Then fall in love with boredom. Fall in love with repetition. Fall in love with the grind that nobody sees, because that's where fortune is built, in the invisible. In the hours no one applauds, in the days when progress is silent, in the darkness, before the spotlight ever touches your name, people think success is a moment. It's not. It's a pattern, and discipline is the pattern repeated over and over until you become a machine of excellence. You don't need a breakthrough. You need follow-through. You need to become the kind of person who does what they said they would do, long after the mood is gone. Discipline is not just a trait. It is your weapon. It is how you slice through doubt, laziness, fear, and distraction. It is how you draw the line between almost made it and legendary. And when the fire fades, discipline remains. Action, the divider of worlds. You've got the dream. You've got the belief. You've got the plan. But here's where it all falls apart for most people. They wait. They hesitate. They pray for signs instead of becoming one. Let this be the moment you burn that lie forever. Action is the only proof of belief. Not words, not ideas, not journals. Action. You say you want to change your life? Then move, start, begin, fail forward. There is no right time. There is only now. When Napoleon Hill studied Edison, Ford, Carnegie, they all had one trait in common. They moved fast. They didn't wait for guarantees. They didn't sit around trying to avoid failure. They knew that action, bold, consistent, messy action, is the universal signal to life that says, I'm serious. The world doesn't respond to potential. It responds to execution. So if you're stuck, it's not because you don't know enough. It's because you're still negotiating with your fear. Move anyway. Start the project. Make the call. Step into the unknown. Not perfectly, not with all the answers, but with courage. Because here's the truth. The gap between average and unstoppable, it's not talent, it's not luck. It's that unstoppable people do what average people only talk about. They act, relentlessly, without waiting for permission. Resilience, the unseen edge of the greats. And when you move, life will push back. The road will not be smooth. It will be lined with setbacks, rejection, fatigue, and failure. But hear me, resilience is your edge, your secret weapon. The inner engine that doesn't break, even when the world tries to shatter you. You think Carnegie didn't face ruin. You think Ford didn't fail, again and again. Walt Disney was told he had no imagination. Oprah was told she'd never make it in television. Lincoln lost more elections than he won. but they all had something the world couldn't crush: the decision to rise. Resilience is not toughness for the sake of pride. It is purpose under pressure. It is the voice inside that whispers, "Get up, again. We're not done. You will fall. You will lose friends. You will be misunderstood. You will question everything. And still, you rise. Because the bridge between your dream and your fortune isn't straight. It isn't easy. It isn't fair. But it is possible. And it will bend before it breaks. If you choose to be stronger than your circumstances." Resilience is refusing to die with your story untold. Resilience is the grit behind the glory. Adaptability, the intelligence of the driven. The world changes. Markets shift. People leave. Plans fail. And if you think discipline means stubbornness, you miss the point. Discipline is not rigidity. It's alignment with the mission. Adaptability is the proof that you are more committed to the goal than to the method. The Wright brothers didn't invent flight by following convention. They broke the rules. They adjusted. They failed, then recalibrated, again and again. When the world shut down, entrepreneurs didn't quit. They pivoted. They built from basements, bedrooms, and backyards, because they understood one timeless truth: you cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. Adaptability is not weakness. It is intelligent persistence. It is listening to reality, bending without breaking, shifting without losing momentum. A disciplined mind doesn't cling to the past. It evolves. It doesn't get stuck in how it should have gone. It asks, what can I learn? How can I adapt? What must I become next? Because staying relevant, staying alive in this game, requires the courage to evolve again and again. And every version of you that survives the fire comes out sharper, stronger, smarter, more dangerous than ever. Gratitude, the fuel. You didn't know you needed. This may sound strange, but if you want to build discipline that lasts, you need to understand the quiet superpower of gratitude, not the surface kind. Not saying thanks just because it sounds good. I'm talking about the kind of gratitude that's forged through pain, through perspective, through the deep knowing that even your hardest days are shaping you. Gratitude is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is the ability to say, everything I've been through, the rejection, the delay, the pressure, was for me, not against me. Andrew Carnegie said, "No man becomes rich unless he enriches others." That kind of wealth starts in the soul. Gratitude transforms how you train, how you show up, how you recover. It transforms the hard into the holy. When you are grateful for the process, the discipline is no longer a punishment. It becomes a privilege, a way to honor your future, to honor your calling, to honor the fact that you still get to fight. You get to wake up. You get to put in the work. You get to live in a time where you can build anything, from nothing. That is power. That is rare. That is yours. Identity, the decision that becomes destiny. There comes a moment in every life where motivation ends and identity begins, because you cannot rise above the image you hold of yourself. You cannot outperform the standard you silently tolerate. Discipline is not a habit. It's a declaration of who you are. You become consistent, not because someone told you to, but because it's who you are now. You rise early. You execute. You move with focus, not because you're chasing something, but because you've made a decision. This is the kind of person I am, period. Look around. Every empire, every innovation, every fortune was first born in someone's identity. Before Disney created a single film, he already believed he was building a kingdom of imagination. Before Carnegie laid the first beam of steel, he believed he was shaping the future of industry. Before Hill ever wrote his first sentence, he believed he was unlocking the science of success. That belief, that identity, became the engine. Your identity isn't fixed. It's not locked in the past. It is shaped, decision by what you tolerate and what you demand. You do not need a new year, a new job, a new city to become someone new. You need one moment, one unshakable decision. The moment. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start declaring, "I refuse to live beneath my potential." Discipline is not something you do, it's who you are. Legacy, the fortune beyond fortune. So let me ask you a question. One most avoid. What will remain when you're gone? What will your children say about your name? What will your great-grandchildren inherit from your choices today? Because this isn't just about money. It's about meaning. It's not about being remembered. It's about building something that remembers you. Your legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you build into others while you're here. It's how you show up when it's hard, how you lead by example when no one is watching. It's the standard you uphold, not just for yourself, but for everyone who comes after you. Discipline creates generational wealth, not just in dollars, but in dignity, in mindset, in character, in the blueprint you leave behind for others to follow. Every disciplined step you take is one less step your children will have to fight for. Every sacrifice you make today is a foundation they will stand on tomorrow. This is how you break cycles. This is how you rewrite family history, not through luck, but through daily, deliberate discipline. Because in the end, the real fortune is the person you became in the process of building it. Final conclusion. The fire within. Listen to me. Right now. Not someday. Not later. Right now. This is the moment. The decision. The line in the sand. Because dreams are nothing without discipline. Desire is cheap. Excitement is fleeting. But discipline is immortal. It shows up when no one else does. It keeps the promise when you're exhausted. It moves mountains with bare hands and bloodied knuckles. It does the work, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You want to change your life? You want to cross that bridge from dream to destiny? Then you must become a person of unyielding discipline. No more waiting, no more wishing, no more depending on the world to hand you anything. Discipline is the bridge. It is the way. It is the truth. And the moment you embrace it, the moment you stop seeking shortcuts, the moment you fall in love with the grind, the moment you marry the process, you become untouchable. So rise. Not just today, every day. Rise when you're tired. Rise when you're broke. Rise when the world doubts you. Rise when there is no applause, no audience, no safety net. Rise like your life depends on it. Because it does. This is your time. This is your proving ground. And discipline is the bridge between where you are and where greatness lives. Now walk it.